The podium for the Canadian Grand Prix was topped by Max Verstappen and featured three world champions from three different teams. Verstappen put on a strong effort in Montreal to win his sixth race in 8, making him practically unbeatable in Formula One. This is his fourth consecutive victory. Lewis Hamilton, who helped Mercedes win back-to-back podium places for the first time this season at the Canadian Grand Prix, focused on the positives despite falling short behind Fernando Alonso for second place. The seven-time world champion, who finished second behind Red Bull's Max Verstappen last time out in Spain, overcame third on the starting grid to finish third at the finish line at the Circuit Gilles Villeneuve after a thrilling battle with Aston Martin rival Alonso. Alonso was passed by Hamilton at the start of the race, but as the race went on, Hamilton fell back behind him. As a result, he finished about 5 seconds behind Alonso, who finished 9 seconds after Max Verstappen. After the race, Hamilton offered his early thoughts, saying, "It's honestly been a great weekend for us. We are slowly chipping away. The Astons took a little bit of a step this weekend when they added the upgrades, but we are working on bringing some more moving forwards. To just have this consistency and be up on the podium here in Montreal, which is such an incredible city, and we've got such a great crowd here every year without fail, so a big thank you to everyone here." Hamilton named rear downforce as one of the major areas Mercedes has to work on in order to compete with Aston Martin and Red Bull in the future. "Firstly, it's quite an honor to be up there with two world champions," he said. "I was really excited to be third and just try to be in that mix, but unfortunately, we just didn't have the pace today. We knew this weekend this wouldn't be our strongest circuit, as we struggle in the lower speed corners particularly. And that's really where I was losing to Fernando and Max, just on traction out of turn 2, and pretty much every corner. But we've got a lot of work to do to just add rear downforce to the car and a little bit more efficiency, but we are chipping away. I do believe we will get there at some stage. Max was a little bit gone, but I think our pace was a little bit closer today, so we are going in the right direction." Hamilton's performance guaranteed that the team maintained its lead over Aston Martin for P2 in the constructors' standings, despite George Russell's retirement in the other Mercedes following a severe collision with the wall in the early going. Did Aston Martin just won the new upgrades battle against Mercedes? With barely 9 seconds separating him from Max Verstappen's winning Red Bull in Montreal, Fernando Alonso's Aston Martin finished in second position and had a significantly modified sidepod setup. The AMR23's sidepod configuration, which included a deep waterslide channel on its upper surface, was already quite noticeable. The redesigned bodywork has the same fundamental design, but has a deeper and narrower waterslide feature, as well as an improved undercut in the front lower margins of the sidepods. The airflow towards the back of the automobile is accelerated by the undercut and waterslide working together. The two airflows combine to generate a stronger stream of air that is directed between the rear wheels, where it flows over and around the diffuser's walls to improve the underfloor's performance. The many cutouts around the floor's edges are passed when the airflow from the undercut moves there, causing vortices to form and aiding in the floor's sealing. A lower air pressure is created behind the undercut, which the incoming air rushes to fill. Exaggerating the undercut will be judged good if it increases the pressure differential. Similar to that, boosting that flow will restrict and deepen the water slide on the sidepod's upper surface. Dan Fallows, the technical director of Aston Martin, acknowledged that the sidepod changes represented a significant aesthetic shift, but downplayed their importance. "Physically, it's a very big update," he said, "but there are things less visible we've done to the car before now which are also quite significant. We are trying to put consistent development on the car rather than wait for a few races, then have a big update. This is not necessarily the biggest update we've put on the car in terms of performance. The side pods are flow tuning features, conditioning the airflow to the rear of the car, but it also helps the floor to work as well. The philosophy we've adopted, which we are seeing being adopted across the grid, is something which helps this concept of floor to work as well. In itself, maybe the actual performance increase of the bodywork on its own is not all that much, but it helps everything else to work. We try to improve the operating window of the car. We can see there are some circuits we are weaker or stronger, and we want to try to make it so it's drivable and usable on as many circuits as we can. The Red Bull Ring in Austria, Silverstone in Great Britain, and the Hungaroring in Hungary are the next 3 circuits on the schedule. It will be interesting to see if Aston Martin can continue to reduce the advantage that has allowed Red Bull to win all 8 races this year. But what about Mercedes? How effective their upgrades were? At the beginning of the season, there was a lot of discussion about a potential Mercedes concept change. The German team understood that the potential of their concept without side pods was constrained, but given their budget restrictions, modifying the concept during the season seemed impractical. Nevertheless, the W14 was upgraded in Monaco with side pods, and if Mercedes chief Toto Wolff is to be believed, the trend will continue with 2 significant enhancements scheduled to arrive close in the coming weeks. Verstappen was 14.1 seconds faster than Lewis Hamilton, and that on a track that highlights the Mercedes' shortcomings rather than its strengths. This might imply that Mercedes could finally challenge Red Bull for the race win with these 2 improvements and take the battle to them. Due to the cost cap, the significant renovation project in the Principality has already caused doubts inside the grid. However, it seems like Mercedes will keep making upgrades indefinitely. Wolff was cited as saying, "We will bring a big upgrade to Silverstone." The Austrian had previously claimed that he intended to win at Silverstone following the Canadian Grand Prix, and this now seems to be because of both the track's characteristics and the new upgrade package. "Then, before the summer vacation, we should have another one," said Wolff. This is significant because it ensures Mercedes will get the latest enhancements in fast succession only in time for the Hungarian or Belgian Grand Prix. The summer break begins just 3 weeks after the British Grand Prix. It's just that we are learning things much faster since we changed our conceptual architecture. We should be able to make reasonable steps in the next 4 races. Wolff points to the busy month of July. "I think we understand the simulations better. Our correlation between the simulations and what we see on the track is good. That has been our biggest problem in the last year and a half. We have seen some good performance improvements in the wind tunnel. We understand better what the car needs to go fast and what kind of tunings we need to use. So the steps we are taking are getting bigger. I think we are doing well." Lewis Hamilton was pleased with his 3rd-place result in the Canadian Grand Prix, despite his inability to overtake Fernando Alonso or challenge Max Verstappen. "Just to be consistent and be fighting for a podium relatively up there consistently is fantastic for us," Lewis said. "Ultimately, it was a difficult weekend for some people. If the Ferraris qualified where they should have, they would have been a bit quicker than us, and they would have been difficult to overtake. But that wasn't the case, and overall, we did a better job than everyone else. We just need to work on the performance of the car, particularly at the rear. That's the biggest weakness. Particularly in low speed, I couldn't keep up with those guys. We are on the right track. We have just got to add a lot more performance in the low speed. I'm forever grateful for everyone back in the factory. We have just got to keep churning away, and I will try to keep pulling out these results." At the Red Bull Ring, who do you think will prevail? Please share your opinions in the comments section below. It will be intriguing to see if Mercedes or Aston Martin can cut the deficit any further. Thank you for watching, and as always, enjoy the racing.